Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to set up a simple home laboratory within which you too can grow delicious mushrooms with relative ease. We're going to talk a little bit about why a lab is necessary, how to choose a space for your lab, some necessary equipment, as well as some tips on how to get the most out of your lab towards the end. But before we get into the video, if you're new here or if you get a little use out of these videos, please don't hesitate to hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help me out as a smaller channel. Alright, with that said, just what is a lab? The word laboratory can conjure up all kinds of images in the mind. Scientists in lab coats looking at test tubes, writing important figures down on clipboards and performing general alchemy. It's a word that can definitely intimidate those new to mycology as a hobby. However, for our purposes, a laboratory is simply a space that is equipped to perform sensitive mycological work. Its main function being to prevent the contamination of our lovely and vigorous fungal cultures. The lab does this by creating and maintaining a clean and sterile environment, preventing what we call contamination. But why is preventing contamination and keeping a sterile environment important? To quote Paul Stamets, cultivating mushroom mycelium is tantamount to not cultivating contamination. Indeed, the conditions that are required to cultivate mycelium and eventually mushrooms are those same conditions that are perfect for all manner of mold, bacteria, and the undescribed multitudes of contaminants floating in the air and sticking to every surface. The jars you see on your screen at the moment are instances of contamination such as I've just described. Ordinarily, these contaminants pose no real cause for thought. Until that is, we want to cultivate mycelium and eventually mushrooms. The conditions required for healthy mycelium are, again, the same conditions that bacteria and molds thrive in, and these contaminants will certainly outcompete any mycelium present for nutrition and resources. As such, it is of great importance to ensure, as much as possible, that we work in a clean, sterile, and aseptic environment. And this is why we as cultivators want to set up a simple space to do our work. But where should we set up our lab? So here is my lab and grow zone. I'm very lucky to have a whole room to dedicate to my mycological pursuits, and it certainly makes things easier for me. However, such a large space is wholly unnecessary. Indeed, when choosing a space for a lab, you don't need a whole room. A simple flat surface will more than suffice, but there are a few considerations to take when selecting a space to do your work. Your lab should be somewhere that is quiet, easily cleaned, and with low foot traffic. Ideally, you can close any windows and doors to minimise air currents, and the floor, if possible, should be uncarpeted. Carpet can hold onto dust, even after cleaning, and walking across carpet can kick up millions of contaminants into the air. Your lab should also have enough space for you to work freely. With this in mind, some great options for a lab are a spare room if you have the space, but a kitchen or bathroom bench will work quite well, as does a simple table in a quiet corner of your house. Here we see friend of the channel, Gabe Misa. He's kindly sent in his lab setup. We can see that he's using a still air box and a makeshift fan filter unit. He's also using a air filter to clean the air, and judging by these cultures in his incubator, his setup really works. Gabe grows great mushrooms, so say g'day if you see him in the comments, and thanks mate for sending in some pictures of your lab. And here we can see my growing buddy Evert's setup. He uses a big fully enclosed filter unit, and he also gets great results with his mycology. But all you really need is somewhere quiet and calm with space enough to work, provided of course you have some essential equipment. To maximise our chances of cultivation success and to minimise the chances of contamination coming for your grow, home mushroom cultivators use a variety of equipment. Now, to list all of the equipment I use in my lab would take hours and is far beyond the scope of this video. I do have a more comprehensive gear video which I've linked above. However, for this video I want to look specifically at the still airbox and the fan filter unit. The still airbox is a cheap and easily made piece of equipment that provides, as the name suggests, a still air environment in which to work. It's simply made by cutting 2 holes into the side of a large tub. These holes should be large enough to fit your hands and far enough apart to comfortably move your arms. And that's it, a still airbox, one of the most cost-effective and reliable and important pieces of equipment found in the mushroom cultivator's lab. To prepare the still airbox for use, we simply spray all surfaces inside with isopropyl alcohol. Be generous with the alcohol and thorough with your paper towel. Once I've done this, I'll close the still airbox with everything I'll be using inside, and then I'll absolutely saturate the interior with alcohol before letting it rest for an hour or so before beginning my tasks. The still airbox is an excellent choice for the beginner cultivator's lab. I and many others have used them to great effect. enjoying many successful grows with minimal contamination rates. However, if you'd like a more reliable way to ensure a clean working environment and the confidence that comes with it, many home and hobbyist cultivators use what is known as a fan filter unit. The fan filter unit is a device that uses a speed controllable fan to force air into and through a HEPA filter. Such a filter will pretty effectively remove the vast majority of contaminants from the air and direct that air across our workspace. This creates a virtually sterile environment to work in, provided of course the unit and in particular the fan speed is set up correctly. To set up, I'll first wipe down the surface my fan filter unit and rack are resting on with isopropyl alcohol. When selecting the speed of the fan, we're aiming to create what is known as laminar airflow. This is airflow that is flowing parallel to the work surface with no disturbance in its currents, as demonstrated by this candle. As we can see, the flame is gently pushed to the side by the air coming from the filter rather than flickering around. Any contamination that is moving through the air hits this stable laminar flow and is carried away. If the air is chaotic, contaminating particles will get caught up in all sorts of strange eddies and countercurrents and will most likely end up in your work, ruining it in the process. You can check the stability of your flow by using a flame, just as you've seen here. I love my fan filter unit. My contamination rates dropped considerably when I began using it, and I can't recommend them enough, especially if you plan on growing larger quantities of delicious gourmet mushrooms. Alright, now that our lab is set up, the time has come to do a little mycology. Today I want to germinate some spores and test a recently made liquid culture to see if it's suitable for use and free of contamination. But before that, I want to quickly show you two other pieces of equipment that I use in the lab that, while by no means necessary, certainly give me a greater degree of confidence and control when I'm dealing with my precious cultures. The first of these is an air filter. I have this little Philips unit here. It has a HEPA filter inside and it does a great job of filtering out particles in the air. I'll let this run for a few hours before doing my lab work, and by filtering the air I maximise my chances of avoiding contamination. Indeed, I get a drastically lower air particle count when I run my air filter before doing my tasks, and that brings me to the next piece of equipment I wanted to show you. It's this particle counter which I use to measure the particulate matter in the air. While being a cheap unit and certainly not offering a quantitative measurement, it does give me a reasonable indication of the number of particles greater than 0.3 microns floating around in the air. In my lounge room, my particle count hovers between 6 and 12,000 particles per cubic litre, but in my lab with my air filter running, it ranges between roughly 1,500 and 2,500 particles. In my still air box, I get a count of around 500 to 1,500, and in front of my fan filter unit, the particle count ranges between 0 and 100 or so particles per cubic litre. Having a device that gives an indication of what it is in the air gives me a lot of confidence when cultivating, as well as helping me to identify sources of contamination when they show up. If I know my air's good, I can then focus on other potential sources of contamination. Though, as I mentioned before, these are by no means necessary for growing rich crops of mushrooms, but there's something to think about if you'd like a greater deal of control over things. Time to do that mycology I mentioned before. Today I'm going to germinate some spores and test a liquid culture that I recently made. Now, as I begin germinating these spores, I want to mention that it is crucial to remember that our lab setup and equipment is only as good as our technique and mindset. While a deep dive into the myriad of lab techniques and procedures found in mushroom cultivation is beyond the scope of this video, I found my mindset plays a very large role in the outcome of any of my own mycological efforts. This mindset of mine is one of caution. I recognise that it only takes one instance of contamination to ruin months of effort. As such, I approach my own cultivation understanding that contamination can happen at any stage of the growing cycle, and indeed during any stage of any lab work I might be doing. So, when beginning mycological work, the first thing I do is to take a good minute or two to clear my head and imagine the procedure in front of me. I'll think about the order of my processes so that my motions are fluid, relaxed, and deliberate. This visualization really helps order your work and limits the exposure of sterile media to open air. Once I have everything in order in my head, I make sure that I clean and wipe down my work surface twice with isopropyl alcohol. I'll also have all the necessary tools and equipment within easy reach. This prevents me from having to get up and look for things while working. Walking around can kick up all kinds of stuff on the floor that you don't want in your grow, and so keeping your necessary equipment close at hand will prevent this. I'm also careful to wash my hands thoroughly and often. My hands handle everything, all the tools and jars and plates, and because of this, there are many opportunities for contamination to be introduced and reintroduced to your hands even after washing. Therefore, it is very important to wash your hands thoroughly and often. I'm also careful to keep agar plates, spore prints, grain jars and bags open only for as long as strictly necessary. The longer they're open, the more chances there are for contamination to find its way into your culture or grains. With that in mind, I'm also careful to make sure my hands are not lingering over plates or spore prints, jars, nor bags that might be open. You never know if something is lingering on your gloves, which can all too easily fall down right into your fresh and once clean agar dish. It's not only your hands that are dirty, everything else is too. Wiping down jars, plates and bags with isopropyl alcohol really helps with contamination rates. You never know what might be lurking on the surface. Wiping everything down with copious amounts of alcohol does nothing other than minimise your chances of contamination and therefore increasing your chances of success. The flame sterilisation of needles, scalpels and other tools is another crucial step, especially as these tools come into contact with live culture. Here I should mention that when using a still air box, it's very important to do this flame sterilisation outside of the still air box. If done inside, the flame will ignite the alcohol vapours inside the box, which can cause an explosion. Sterilise needles and tools outside instead, and then move them inside. In the still air box, I'll also use slow and deliberate motions to not disturb the air inside any more than necessary. Again, this will prevent air currents from kicking up contaminants that may be resting on the bottom of the still air box or from bringing in new contamination from outside. And I'll also keep sensitive work as far away from the holes as possible. And while using the flow unit, I'm always careful not to place anything between the filter and my work, ensuring anything on my hands doesn't blow across my work. Lastly, and very importantly, after finishing in the lab, it is crucial to immediately throw away any leftover biological matter. Tiny little mites love nothing more than to feast on mycelium and fungal remains. And if you get an infestation, trust me, they're very difficult to eradicate. Yeah, it's mostly common sense, basic stuff, but it goes a long way in practice and will serve you well, no matter the layout of your lab or the equipment you use. Now, let's watch this in practice while I test a recent liquid culture I made. If you want to see how I make the liquid culture, you can click the link above. But for now, I need to test this batch to be sure it's clean and suitable for growing mushrooms. Alright, here's the culture. It looks pretty good, but looks can be deceiving, so I'm going to test it. Go in front of the fan filter unit it goes, and I wash my hands. Some isopropyl alcohol. Getting into all the nooks and crannies, my wrist, in between my fingers, my palms, everywhere. Can never be too thorough when washing your hands. Much better to take the extra time rather than breeding bacteria. Here I'm spraying down the jar, killing anything on the outside, and I'm also spraying the injection port. And then I'm going to wipe the alcohol all over the jar, all over the lid, making sure I get that alcohol everywhere. Beautiful. And a little courtesy spray once more on the injection port. I'm opening the syringe, and you can see I'm careful to kind of open the syringe into the airflow of the filter unit. That just helps keep the sterile interior a little bit sterile. Then put the syringe quickly onto the needle. I agitate the culture just so I can get a good draw. And then the needle's straight in. And I'll draw up a nice fat syringe of liquid culture. A promise of mushrooms to come. Beautiful. So we have a nice syringe, and I'm going to test this syringe on some agar petri dishes I have here. Again, washing my hands, wiping everything down with alcohol, making sure everything's nice and clean. It just takes one piece of contamination to wreck everything. And nothing kills the enthusiasm for mushroom cultivation quite like contamination. Gonna flame sterilize this syringe as it's already been used when I injected it into the liquid culture. Flame sterilization really does kill everything on the outside. I'm just going to let that cool for a little bit. Wash my hands once more. Beautiful. And now I'm going to remove this protective plastic to expose the sterile, hopefully sterile, petri dishes. Washing my hands one more time. Can't get enough. All right. Now to test the culture, I just squirt a little tiny bit, less than a mil, into each of these petri dishes. You'll notice I'm squirting in from the side. I really don't want to cross in front of the airflow from the filter unit. Beautiful. Time to seal these plates and then to wait and see if some lovely mushroom mycelium begins to grow. All sealed. They look pretty good. And at about a week later, yes, success. Everything looks really nice and happy and clean. Just what I want to see. Perfect. Some lovely spore germinations there from before. Just what we want to see. A couple more there, but it seems that we have a little bit of contamination. But that's all right. It happens with spores. Some lovely pea sub culture here. That's the please subscribe culture. Looking really nice and clean. Oh, I can't wait to get this into some wood chips. And well, there you have it, a brief overview for how I set up and use my lab. As you can see, we had great success with both spore germination and with those liquid culture test plates. There's little contamination from the spore germinations, but that's to be expected. Spores can be a bit dirty, but they're easily cleaned up. And here we can see the very same liquid culture I tested making its way through this popcorn. I'm pleased to see that this lab seems to be working well. It's my new one in my new house, and I'm excited to settle in and grow some more mushrooms. And I hope all of you have similar success. What about you? Did you find this useful? Did I forget anything important? Do you have a method for preventing contamination that you swear by? Let us all know in the comments. All right, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you found this useful, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.